to Don's Manufactory. Today I am breaking apart the steering linkage. I broke down and went to my local O'Reilly's and bought Moog parts. Excellent, good, high quality parts. The exact ones, exactly like the ones that came off. They're exact matches, and they're greasable. So I'm good with that. So got all new inner and outer tie rods. So I'm breaking down my system. I'll reuse my couplers. I'll reuse my drag link, of course, my center link, because I already repaired that. And I'm gonna, after I get it apart and cleaned up, I'm gonna go ahead and paint everything. I mean, if I'm gonna catalyze some paint, I might as well do it all at the same time. And then all my front end stuff will be ready. Okay, cool. So, time lapse, here we come. Okay, breaking her down, taking it apart, cleaning up the, what do you call them, links? Yeah. Getting the center link derusted and ready for paint. I'm also painting the clamps that go on the links. I actually didn't paint the inner and outer tie rods. They're new. I suppose I should. I can just touch them up, I guess, later, but I didn't for some reason. Okay, so here we go. First coat of primer. And then, rattle can paint. I know in the video I said I was going to catalyze paint and do that. But like I said in one of the other videos, yeah, it's either raining or snowing, and it's freezing cold outside, so I can't really push the car out there and let it sit so that I can paint in the garage. So I'm stuck doing the rattle can. It'll be okay. So I'm assembling here. Putting on the inner and outer tie rod ends, putting in the Zerk fittings and stuff, just building up the steering linkage. I did not measure the original one. I knew that I'm doing the Shelby drop and modifying the control arm, upper control arm stuff. So there's just really no way that having the steering link the same length as it used to be is going to put the wheels in the same place. Okay, so now I have decided that I'm going to rebuild the Pitman, or not the Pitman arm, but the idler arm. I discovered in that last video, I discovered that there was play in it, and I was either going to buy a new one or fix this one. And, I'm getting into the swing of it, and I just feel like, hey, I'm going to fix it. So there I'm grinding off the rubber at the rubber grommet that goes on the inside, trying to get the spacing just right and get everything tight. This took me several shots, and it was also quite a klutz when I was trying to clamp it. Surprisingly, this joint was a lot harder to clamp and get together. I don't know why. It's virtually the same end that's on the center link, but it gave me fits, and I tried a bunch of different clamping things to try to get it to stay. I don't know if it's because I had a better way to clamp the center link when I was working on it or whatever, but it was just awkward and weird, and to get it clamped and then test the how much drag it has, how tight everything is, and then realize that I don't have the spacing right. Took me a couple of shots. I couldn't even press it together because the rubber washer on the top was too thick. Generally, though, this joint went together okay. It was in way better shape than the Centerlink one, so it should have turned out better, and I think it did. Somewhere along here, I should be getting close to finishing it. Just, amazing amount of work. And there are those that would say, what the heck are you doing? They only cost $80. Just buy the dang thing. Yeah, sorry, a little off camera here, but still, you can see I'm clear over there. I'm still grinding the rubber. You can see the idler arm's in the vise there, and I'm still struggling with getting it clamped and testing. Welcome to Don's Manufactory. Today's update, well, as you can see, you were just watching the time lapse of it. Here's the finished idler arm. I did the same thing to this joint as I did to the one on the drag link or the center link. I had to take it apart, clean it up. On this joint, the pin was in perfect shape, so I just polished it, and I took some rubber off the bottom of the tapered grommet, and I put a washer at the top, and then I pressed the whole thing back together and welded it up, and it is perfect. It feels just a tad snug, more snug than the one on the drag link, but it should wear in. But it is perfectly tight, has no play in it. I mean, I should put it in the vise and test it. Okay, here we go. Now that I got it all fixed up, let's just see where we are. So, you know, there's this controversy, we'll call it, that these bushings are made to center the wheel. You're supposed to tighten this up with the wheel centered, and then it returns the wheel to center. And I'm here to tell you, there's no way that the elastomer inside this idler arm is going to spin this far and not lose its grip on the internal. That's not ever what they intended. It's just supposed to be a shock-mounted perfect fit, which is what this one is. But as you can see, it always stays in position. So I was just thinking, even though this really doesn't have much drag, but it seems pretty, let me get over here, and then I'll just wiggle it. See, this is, no way, it doesn't have any play at all. So this idler arm is now 100% ready to go back in the car. Okay, as you know, I ordered parts from CJ's and they came in wrong, and it's been now a week and a half and still no solution. I'm just getting emails going back and forth. They just sent me one yesterday that said, hey, what model, make and model car was that for? That kind of thing. And I'm just beside myself. So the center link is now completely assembled with the new joints. I cleaned it up and painted it last night, and cleaned these up, painted those links. Center link is ready to go in. And one of the things I wanted to check was bump steer and that kind of thing. So I need to have the steering linkage underneath the car and a rough rudimentary alignment on it. So that's the thing today, is I got to get the shocks out, got to get the springs out, and then start mapping the movement of the suspension. And I mean, yes, I'm doing the Shelby drop, but if I'm also re-welding the upper ball joints into a new position on the control arm, and whatever adjustments I need to make there, I need to be able to put it in that position, clamp it in that position, then manipulate the suspension and track the movements to make sure that everything is where it should be, and I have what would be termed modern suspension geometry. That's my target. And I don't know how close I'm going to get. It all depends on how far off these parts are when I get it all put together. I mean, it occurred to me that the steering box, if you're adjusting the steering box up and down, you're raising the pitman arm up and down, which changes the geometry, the squareness of the geometry to the wheels. So if the pitman arm is down too far, then the suspension or the steering link is not parallel to the car. It's down on one side, which would cause a bump steer situation. So all of that has to be taken into account. And I hope to document a lot of this that I'm doing And one more thing. You know, I couldn't remember having replaced the idler arm on this car. And, but if we look right here, Ford C4ZA 3353-something or other. So, it is the original idler arm in the car. And yes, I've got one of these spring compressors, but here's how I modified it. Flip things around, put a spacer on here so that I can do the whole thing from the top. So the trick here is getting them set up so that when they are under the springs, that they are the tall one is where it needs to be, and the short one is where it needs to be. Kind of like that right there. And then on the top, same thing. And if you get it set up right like that, then you're good. So what I'm doing here is I'm just screwing the top part up the spring as far as I can go. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want the greatest portion of the spring compressed. Don't want to leave any as few coils uncaptured as possible. Stop it. I don't have it tight enough to stay in place yet. Okay. And now I just get up on the top with the ratchet, start winding it. And that makes it real easy. I don't have to do it from the bottom, although I could if I wanted to. I like doing it from the top, because then, once I get it, it just comes right on out. I say that as it is giving me trouble right now. There we go. I didn't actually have to collapse the spring that far to get it out. Well, my spring perches are actually, they're actually still intact. That's amazing. So what I was going to do was pull the, just point you down this way. Yeah, I'm going to pull the sway bar out of there, or disconnect it at least, so that I can swing the suspension through its travel without any resistance. Well, let's get in here. And a wrench on the top. There we go. I used to like that. Now I have to keep track of these. I got this, oh man, I got this sway bar used, and it had a slight twist in it from the wrecking yard. And so my bushings here, spacers, are different lengths on either side to make up for that little twist that's in the sway bar. And if I use the same size links on each side, then it makes the car tilt, sit crooked. Just to show you how bent this sway bar is, here's the two links for the sway bar. That's how much shorter it had to be on one side to get the car to sit level. That's how much of a twist there is in that sway bar. I don't know if it was made that way or if it was from an accident, you know, at the wrecking yard. But that's quite a difference. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.